So traders, one of the things that I've realized time and time again in my last 20 years of my trading in the markets is that there are patterns that repeat in the markets, okay? And I'm going to go through this screenshot here about where most people are like, for me personally, I'm always looking for what is that next sector? What is the next market? What's the next thing I should be focusing on that's likely to be starting a new bull market? See, one of the things I'm noticing time and time again is that people will be focusing on markets that have already made big bull moves. And if you're a smart investor, right, and you're a smart trader especially, you know that we want to be getting in before the move happens, right? We want to get in before the bull market. We don't want, as you know, one of the legends of these fields, Ray Dalio and Howard Marks, they say, which is just so true, because you see things go in cycles all the time. If we're just honest with ourselves, things just go in cycles. So Ray Dalio and Howard Marks, they all say, and they say that one of the biggest mistakes that the average trader investor makes is that they see what has done well, and they see that it's likely to continue doing really well. But if you just look at any market out there, and you look at any chart out there, and then we just remove the opinions of the inflation and the debt and all that sort of stuff, everything just keeps going in cycles, right? So I look at this from a perspective of like gold right now. If you've been following me now for a few years or more, you would know back in late 2023, I was all over gold. I was gold. And I've made a lot of money in gold. I've made a lot of money in gold. But the bull market right now is coming towards an end with gold. And we just know that, right? If you're sensible and you're not emotional about gold going up, now I do believe we have one more push to the upside right now on gold. But on the big, massive, grand scheme of things, if I'm looking for what's that next market that's likely to pop for the next 1, maybe 2 years, like what's that next big bull market that's likely to start? That's what I'm always focusing on, because that's the end of the day, right? Like, as an investor and as a trader myself, I'm always looking for these opportunities. And so as you can see on this screen here, that I'm always looking for these opportunities that's likely to do that here, right, guys? So traders, if you do need a bit of a ground just keeping here, I'm giving free access to my trading course, as you can see on the screen there. If you need some help, guys, I promise you, once you finish this trading course, it's going to blow you away. And you're going to start to really understand the truth about getting ahead in these markets. So get access to that. Or traders, if you need more sort of coaching, more hand holding around the right mindset, the right strategies, the right entry strategies, and then also more importantly, the right trade management strategies so you can let your profits run, cut your losses short, and you just like to be part of a real small elite group every single day, then you can apply for my coaching. That's the second link in the description there. That's going to take you to an application form. You and I will personally have a good chat on the phone, and we'll see if you're a good fit for my what's called my inner circle, or maybe even more what's called my 1% club that through there. So back to this level here. So once again, traders, like one of the biggest things that I've noticed when it comes to people just that are trading these markets here, they're always trying to guess. They're trying to guess. And one thing that I've just noticed myself time and time again is that there's repetitive patterns that form again and again and again. And what am I talking about here? Well, this is a chart here, right? This is a chart here right now on this screenshot here. I took this screenshot here. This is gold. Now, this is not gold today, right? This was gold way back when? Way back, this here, right chart, is what gold looked like. Now, as I said before, the one thing that really helps me have a really big advantage in these markets is I see patterns that repeat time and time and time again. That gives me a high probability, no guarantees, right? But gives me a high probability of that move happening, because that's what we're after, right? I'm after and at the end of the day, for me, I'm saying, for me, the way that I like to trade now is I'm not an active trader. So if you join my coaching program, I'm not an active trader a lot, but I'm more like a position swing trader, meaning I like to get in stuff and hold it for a couple of months and make a big profit on that one trade. Or sometimes I even like to see things that are likely to set up for a couple of years and position myself for that as well too, like I have done. So again, there's these patterns that repeat in the market that give us a high probability of a move coming. So for example, if you look back here at the Dow Jones, there is very similarities, and all these markets, once you start to understand these patterns, by the way, the pattern I'm teaching you right now, you can go and check it out, because once you start to see this pattern again, you'll be able to start to identify, we're about to see potentially a really big move out of the markets. So we look at the left chart here, okay? And now the reason why I'm bringing this up here is because, again, there is repetitive patterns that form again and again and again and again and again and again in these markets that give us the best chances of identifying not just a small move, but a big move. How do you make a really big profit in the market? I really want you to be thinking about that. How do you make a really big profit in the markets? It's not by taking a 1,000 small profit trades. How you make a big profit in the markets is what? Get into a trade and holding it for a while so it can turn into what? A big profit. Mate, see what I'm saying there? So I always found, and the reason it took me a long time for my personal trading when it comes to these types of trades now. I used to be a day trader, right? Over the last 20 years, I used to be a day trader. And I always found it, like, I was always trying to get that income. I'm trying to make $1,000 this week. I'm trying to make $2,000 this week. But yet I was completely missing trades that could do six figures, over a couple of month period. You see what I'm saying? So my short-term thinking was stopping me from big results. And then I had to rack my brain around that. So this was the screenshot. By the way, this screenshot here, this is the screenshot that I gave. And as you can see, this was gold today, but this was gold before the bull market, right? So as I said before, remember I said before, like I started this video off, right? I started this video off by saying I was all over gold right here. When gold was breaking out, I was all over gold. Why? Because it was a repetitive pattern. Why? This is the screenshot that I took. And as you can see, this was the gold chart here that I took of gold. And it's a repetitive pattern. Now, what was this very repetitive pattern here? Now, this is a weekly chart. This is big picture. If you're like, John, I don't care about big picture. I just want to make $500 today. You're missing the picture, right? You're missing especially in this environment. You need to have, especially in this environment, day traders right now are getting their head handed to them. I know. I see it, like I've seen videos recently of people that have been day trading now for 3 years and blowing up their accounts. My account's not going up. Oh, sorry. My account is going up. My account's not blowing up, should I say. I'm definitely getting good results. My 1% club see what I do every day, so they know exactly what I'm doing, right? But we can see here, right? So what was making me chop at the bits at gold here before the bull market? What's a repetitive pattern? So look at this here. And again, this pattern here, take it, run with it. When you see it, it's telling you, especially when you're looking at big weekly charts, these were weekly charts here. Weekly chart Dow Jones here. Forget, and what I want you to do right now is I want you to forget economic news, economic data, forget that. But John, that's when Trump was when, who cares? Stop, shut up. Look at the pattern. When the pattern is forming in the markets, it's showing you there's a high probability of a result coming. Not a guarantee, but a massive high probability that a result coming. That's all you need to know. And if you're going to insert all this other bullshit out there, meaning inflation and data and all that sort of stuff, you're not doing yourself who cares about that? Who cares? What do we care about? I want to be able to see a pattern that repeats, and when it does form, it gives me a high probability of making a result. That's it. I don't need to complicate it. Well, Jerome Powell and the debt bubble and the dollar. Shut up. Who cares? Look at the pattern, right? And again, it is that simple. When you see the pattern form in the market, which by the way, AKA, it's the big boys that are pushing these markets around that we're starting to read them. And when they start to form these patterns, they're telling us what's likely to happen, right? So many traders are making it so much more, like right now, gold. They're making, well, John, you don't understand. Gold's going to keep going up because, and then they insert all these other reasons why gold's going to keep going up, which you may be right. But how is that going to serve you 12 months from now? Let's just say, for example, you're right about gold going to 10,000 now, and you get it right. Okay, cool. Now, what are you gonna do 2 years from now? You're gonna go back to the drawing board and then say, okay, well, I need to have. You see what I'm saying here, right? Trading the market's not about luck. Trading the market's about repetition. So look at this here. As you can see here from the Dow Jones here, we can see here what? We can see that it went sideways. Again, this is a weekly chart, so this is a few years. It went sideways for a few years, and it had 1, 2, 3 times resistance here. Boom, 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 boom. Gold, 1, 2, 3 times, right? 3 times. Then on the fourth time, it broke up. It came back down, tested it, and then bounced. You see that through there? So 1, 2, 3. On the fourth time, it broke up, came down, tested it, and you know what gold did, right? Gold bounced, and gold bounced from there. Now, what did gold do after this period here? Well, you know what happened, right? Gold did that. Why do you think this is a screenshot back from when this, again, this is, I was sharing this with my inner circle at the time of, and this was early 2024, and I was all over gold by saying, guys, check out gold. And again, if you guys have been around me for a long time, you guys, you know, right? If you've been around with me now for a few years, you know I was chopping at the bits of gold. Now for the last, yeah. Now the purpose of me bringing this home to you guys is one, to share with you guys that you don't have to be that smart. But you trying to be smart, it's not that complicated. But secondly, the way that you do success in the markets is relying on repetitive patterns, relying on patterns and relying on what the market's telling us to give us an understanding of what's likely to come. And so that's what I wrap it around to what we're seeing here in this screenshot here that I took literally just today, right? I literally just took this today, and I literally just put it into this here is the post that I did for my post on this YouTube channel, right? So I said, interesting. When most are focused on gold, the stock market, and crypto, now why are they focused on those markets? Because again, the average trader who loses money, 95% of you guys that are commenting on this video right now are losing money. You're trying to tell me what to do. That's okay. I'm not losing money. I'm having a good year this year, right? And I'm like I do most years. So while people are focusing on that, now again here, why are the people focusing on this here? Why 95% of traders who are going to get their head ripped off more this year? Why are they focused on that? Because, they're the markets that have already had big bull markets. So they focused on the 95% who don't understand this stuff. Guess what? Now they're focusing on these markets because they think what has done well is likely to continue doing really well. No, things go in cycles, right? Things go in cycles. So I'm focused on markets that are set to start a big bull market over the next 3 to 6 months. I said start of the next 3 to 6 months. This is a monthly chart here, which is, by the way, if I take that off the screen, this here is the monthly chart. This is the chart that I literally just took just recently. See how it's the same thing. Repetitive patterns tell me that what's the likelihood of an outcome. This here screenshot I gave my inner circle members. Again, if you'd like to get more of the insider scoop when this is happening, then again, that's second link in the description there, guys. You can apply for my inner circle, or you may be even good for my what's called my 1% group, where I share this stuff with them. I'm sharing this stuff at the time with my inner circle members, right? But this screenshot here, guess what? Told me we're probably going to go for a really big bull move here, because when we do nothing for 2-3 years, which this was, and then we start to get the breakout here, there's a high probability we're about to see a nice good bull market here. And the bull market's a new bull market is about to start. This is the screenshot that I took at the time, right? And then a bit of FYI, right? Again, this is a weekly chart here. Let me bring this up to here, okay? And then we're going to go to this chart here. And we're going to go to this chart here, right? And let's go to the GLD. Let me show you where that was at the time. Right, you see that there? Look at that. What's that through there? See that through there? Or if I actually go to the actual gold chart itself, this is the actual gold chart itself. As you can see, what is that through there? This here is what? Say it with me. That's the screenshot there, right? Just squeezed up. Now, what gave me a high probability of seeing a nice move coming and a new bull market starting, right? Which again, I was chopping at the bits, and what made that see? See, for trading purposes, I'm looking for trading purposes that can sometimes last a couple of weeks, sometimes a couple of months. Especially with utilizing options, you can start to pick up some really nice returns from there. But I'm also utilizing this to say, okay, where is the next bull market that's likely to start, right? Everyone's focusing on all these other markets out there. And for me, I'm just like, no, they've already had the bull market, right? Everything goes in cycles, doesn't it? Once again, if you go to check out this actual here, you know everything goes in cycles from here. If we're just smart about way we do things, right? You've been around the markets for a long time, you understand that. So for me, I'm like, what's that market that hasn't made a big move that we could be down here, that are more like down here where no one's really focusing on it? That's where I should be focusing on, right? And so hence we get that through there, right? So, and then we go down to this path through here. And so now we can see that through there. So when I saw gold, that's when I saw gold, and this told me that gold's likely to have a big bull market, and look what happened. You see what I'm saying, right? And so, yes, so for you guys that are short-term traders, you'll be like, who cares about that, John? That's over the last 2 years again, exactly, right? But that 2 year is a massive bull market. This gives you a high probability to let you know when the next bull market is likely to start. Now, I say likely, right? Because there's no guarantees, and sometimes it doesn't work out exactly the way we're going to do, and so on and so forth. But if I bring this screenshot up to here now, and I'm seeing repetitive patterns, I'm now seeing GOD, gold monthly, do the exact same thing as the XLE monthly. Now, reason why I'm doing this here, and the reason why I'm doing this for me, because I'm looking for what is that trade that I can hold on to for 6 to 12 months that's likely to be starting a very big bull market. Now we're talking some serious profit, right? Especially if you can buy options, especially for a good couple of years, and get in at the start of a big bull market and ride it for 6 months, 12 months. Now we're talking potentially thousands of % return, right? Potentially. I always say potentially, guys, because you never know exactly, right? So you never want to load the house on these things, and I don't. But if I want to start to get a really nice return, how do you potentially put on a $20,000 position and turn it into some nice numbers from there, right? So you've got the GOD and you've got the XLE monthly. So the XLE monthly for me, it's all the same thing, isn't it? Look at this here. 2 years up, GOD. We roughly spent 3 years going sideways. Then once we did break, we've now spent this entire time, we've roughly spent roughly 2 years going up. Look at XLE monthly right now. It spent about 2 years going up, roughly. It spent about 3 years going side, roughly. What's going to come soon? Now, the thing is that when I say the next 3 to 6 months, is I don't know when this is going to trigger. So if I go to, say, for example, let's actually go to the XLE right now. And again, I was looking at, this is the monthly chart here. Now, this is the monthly chart that I was just showing you just a minute ago. Monthly chart, this is the monthly chart here, right? That's the monthly chart is what? There. And once we started the breakout there, after spending 3 years of doing nothing, as you can see, right? When we have big bull markets like we have here and here, people start to focus on them. It's already been done and gone. Just like my inner circle, what I was sharing with them, I'm like, guys, get ready for the bull market. Now I'm saying, yeah, we may get one more push in here up to 4,000, but we're getting towards the end of the bull market. If you're looking for a really good bull market, we're getting towards the end of this bull market, not the start. But John, you don't understand. And then you're going to insert all this other crap about the debt and the inflation, and it's going to burst, and all this stuff. Guess what? All that stuff you're saying right now about the dollar collapsing and the debt's going to burst and blah, blah, blah. You know they've been saying that for a decade. You're not new. Be smart about the way you're doing things. That's if you actually want to get ahead in the markets. If you don't, just keep being dumb, right? And the big thing is, for me, is what? that has done well for the last few years is probably not going to do well, right? But that hasn't done well in the last few years is probably going to do well. See, this is just, it's all the same thing, right, guys? And again, and one thing, the reason why I'm doing this video here today is I'm trying to also show you the psychology of why most people get it wrong in the market. Why most people have it completely wrong, right? And where if you actually want to be in a situation where you can potentially generate a big profit, we need to be able to identify the patterns that's likely to make a big move. And then, by the way, get into it and hold it for at least a few months to generate a big profit from that there, right? Not day trading, not get in one day, get out the next day, not short-term 5-minute trading. No, that is the worst form of trading. And I promise you, you do that, you have 99% chance of blowing up your account. It is the hardest form of trading out there because you make a small profit, big loss, right? Spread strategies, strangles, all these strategies out there, blah, 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 blah. Stop it. You know it's the worst thing, right? Or I trade spread strategies. What about credit spreads, John? Right? Credit spreads. Just think about the way you're trading, okay? If you're doing credit spreads, think about this for a minute. The way that I like to trade is that if I see something having a big move, I simply buy a call option. That's it. And if the market goes up, I can generate 2, 3, 400% return. Beautiful, right? If the market goes against me, even if I have a big loss at 50% loss, if I can have 50% losses and 200% profits, winner, chicken dinner. That's my foundations of having a good year this year. But most people out there, right? Most people out there, and again, if I bring up the XLE market, most people out there, what are they doing? They're trying to do all these funky strategies. Let me do some spread strategies, right? Meaning, let me do a credit spread. Meaning, they might do a credit spread, and you might receive a credit. You might receive, say, for example, you might receive a 30-cent credit, right? But it's a dollar spread, as an example. For you guys that trade options, you know what I'm talking about there. 30-cent credit, a dollar spread between that means you have a 70-cent risk. Hang on a minute. How is that foundation having success for long term? Again, I'm all about, as a coach, I'm all about setting you up so you can have long-term success in the markets, not being lucky every now and then. If you trade this here where you have much bigger risk than your reward, you know what that equals, right? It's hard, man. It's hard. Guys, I spent through 2008, I know someone who was trading this strategy. Me, I was just trading calls and puts like I do today. Why? Because I want a strategy where where when I'm getting into a big bull move, I can ride it for a few months, have a big profit, so therefore I can pick up a 200-300% return on the option over the space of a couple of months. Fantastic. And then if my next trade is a big loss, that might be a 50% loss. Even if that's the case, I'm still growing my account. You see that this is where day trading, short-term trading, 5-minute chart trading, trying to make an income is blowing up your account. So if I look at things like XLE market, guess what the XLE market's doing right now? You know it's doing, right? Because I did the screenshot here for you guys. Right? And we can see this through here as well. So what's probably likely to come to? Now again, guys, this is a what? This is a monthly charts. Monthly charts. So therefore, it's probably going to take another 3 to 6 months to potentially start to break out and start to give me some sort of trigger that we're starting the bull market. Look at this here. It wasn't until we started the breakout here, after this, that we end up starting the what? There, right? So no, for me, no, I'm not in the XLE market right now. Because guess what? It may not even go up. It may go down. But if we do start to get the trigger point and we start to get that through there, and there's the you see that point through there, right? Then I can start to go down to my weekly charts from here, and I can start to identify some things. So as I said before, this is the weekly chart now, and going back to the monthly charts, this is the monthly charts. It's going to take another few months or more for this to build up. But that's where smart investing is all about. Now, I'm not just focused on this here. I'm actually in 2 trades right now in the markets, right? So, and I'm trading and I'm still doing my trades, but I'm also keeping watch list of things that could be coming up soon and watching and waiting for it, right? So the XLE is one market, and even different stocks, right? For example, XOM. Look at XOM. XOM is setting up beautifully. So XOM could be a real big stock, and all the same thing, right, guys? Look at this here. Up for a few years. We've done nothing for a few years. Guess what's coming, guys? Guess what's coming, right? And here's the thing that I have found here. Here's the thing that I have found by looking at this level here. I have found that when markets do nothing for a long period of time, we end up having big moves. Let me show you this here. This is the reason why I take a lot of screenshots. This is the stuff that I normally share with my inner circle, but I want to give you a bit of an insight look here. Look at this here. This was back in the 2020. This was back in the 2020 crash. Okay. Forget the time period, but I just want to show with you, what is this? When markets do nothing for a long period of time, when we do break, we end up having a big move, right? Nothing. You see what I'm saying here? These are all weekly charts, weekly charts, weekly charts, weekly charts. And then if I start to bring this up here, this is a screenshot that I put together for myself. And as you can see, the best trades that make big moves, right? Because that's what we want, right? As a trader, that's what we want. We want big moves. That makes big moves happens after a long sideways phase. You can see here, sideways, 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 right? So the big thing that I'm sharing that with you here is because there's these things out there like this here that when they start to trigger, they're not there yet. And again, it may not even trigger. Right, so that's where you never want to like, well, let me get in early now before everyone else does. No, right? Be smart. For me, being smart is about what? Letting it build up. So for example, that gold chart, right? If I bring up the gold chart and I bring up this weekly chart back here, for me personally, I was watching gold here and see all this pullback through here. So all that from there to there was what? Around about 2-3 months. So as gold was building this base here, I was watching this build up. So it took 2 to 3 months for this trade to build up. But let me ask you a question. Is waiting for a trade that might do this, is that worth watching and waiting for that thing? That's what I'm all about, right? So yes, I'm still trading, but I'm also keeping an eye on these other markets that could actually have really big moves, right? And we see it, and there's many markets out there that are doing that through there. Again, forget gold, forget that sort of stuff. Now, look at this here. Now we go to what? USO. What's USO doing? It's the same thing, right? Look, up for a few years. So this is up for a couple of years, sideways for 3 years. Hang on a minute. Interesting. That's what gold did before the that's what gold did before the breakout. Interesting. Now we're seeing this here. So you see this just time and time again. So one of the things, guys, is that you never know exactly how this is going to play out. You just want to be smart. What I'm all about, guys, is I'm not about, there's no get rich quick scheme in these markets here, but I want to set yourself up with the best chances of having success in the market. How can I see these patterns that's going to give me the best chance of jumping on a big profit? Because I'm going to have my losses. But if I can jump on the trades and if I can have my trades have 100%, 200%, sometimes even 300-400%, maybe even 500% returns potentially, then when I do have my losses, if I'm looking at 50% loss, now this is 50% loss. Those numbers are, by the way, on my investment, right? Not my entire account. No, 50% loss on your entire account? Are you an idiot, John? No, be smart. It's called investment. If I put on 10% of my account in one trade, then that 50% loss is now only 5% of my account. By the way, that 10% of my account, if I make 200% on one trade, now my account's up by 20%. You see how those numbers work there. Now I'm giving you an example here. You can lower it, you can go higher, but I'm trying to give you the mindset of how to think properly, especially in this environment where things are crazy volatile. And if you're actually trying to get ahead long term, not just being lucky now, but you want to be around 5 years from now, here's some things to have a real good think about.